Hello, it is Thursday, just past 9:30. Today is, I absolutely cannot avoid it any longer. I have to get cracking on making sub boxes. So I've still got a heap of orders, like non-sub box orders that I need to do. But for now, I'm just going to get started and not even think about it. So right now I'm just making up the little needle cards. So this is the one task I can do sitting down. It's probably why I started with this one. Last night, just in front of the TV, I made 50 thread cards. So that's done. When I say I haven't even started yet, it's not true. I've been doing cotton. So yes, it's going to be a bit of a short day because my mum watches my youngest son, Charlie, and she just needs to leave a little bit earlier today, about 3:30. So I'm just going to try and do as much as I can in these 6 hours. The time just goes so fast. I find like the work week, each work day just goes within a blink of the eye. Usually around 2 o'clock every day, I start to panic because I've only got 2.5 hours left to get everything I need done. And it always constantly seems to be Friday. Or the next day is Friday. It's just So not complaining because that's how I love my work week to go. I'm a bit of a clock watcher. Like whenever I've been an employee in the past, I'm always watching the clock. Even if it's a job that I like, it just seems to be a little quirk in my personality. I remember the last job I had before I went full-time in this job, and it was 8:30 till 4:30, and I was a speech pathologist and I enjoyed it. I didn't particularly I worked for a non-profit. I didn't particularly love how they sort of structured everything. They had they followed a theory, an academic theory from a researcher from the University of Alabama for some weird reason. And I just, they just stuck to that so rigidly, and I really struggled with that because it really felt like we had academics in head office who were planning, telling us how everything needs to be done. So even we would go and have an appointment with someone and we'd have a feedback, a notes template that we would write our notes. And even that we had to write it, this and this and this. We had to follow a particular format. But, I had clients who were, I needed to bring an interpreter with me. A lot of my caseload, I needed to bring an interpreter because they didn't speak English. There was domestic violence. There was being relocated into housing. A lot of them had comorbidities, so they didn't need speech. They needed speech, but they also needed psych, OT. We had parents who didn't drive, so we couldn't really meet. I had to. It was all just little things that, they weren't an issue because we could work around that. But it just means you need to be flexible and you can't follow a template that, someone in head office has given you. I just felt like there seemed to be no thought given to the fact that this template might not work for anyone other than just the perfect client. So anyway, that was just a long way of saying that I would get to about 2 o'clock in that job and I just felt like I had eternity left to go. And it is such a world of difference from how I feel now, where 2 hours seems to go in 5 seconds. I'm just going to make these until I get sick of it. I'll need about 250, but realistically I need an infinite number because I use them for my kits as well. So I always am needing needle cards made up. So if I make too many, there's no such thing. I get my needles from a business called John James in the UK, and they just make really good quality needles. So I'm sure I would be able to source needles, you know, I'm positive I could source needles cheaper from within Australia, not made in Australia, but an Australian supplier. But I like these ones, and I don't like to compromise on quality. Because I figure, like, even though these are beginner kits, this is the issue with like Kmart crappy kits. Even though you're a beginner, you still deserve to have quality supplies, because then you get to experience what it would be like. So if you start off with a crappy kit with an awful needle and awful fabric, you're not getting the best representation of what cross stitch could be in the future. So I hate that mindset of like, just because you're a beginner, you need to just start off with terrible supplies, cheap, nasty supplies. Because how do you know that this is your new favourite hobby forever and ever if you don't experience it to its full potential? That is my little spruce mission statement, I guess. All right, I already had some made up. I've got that. It's not nearly enough, but it'll do for now. I think I'm going to cut some fabric. I'm just going to rotate around my tasks. So cutting fabric, doing cotton, doing needles. That's what today's going to be. I'm always missing pencils. Okay, I'm putting it on my list to buy more pencils from Officeworks. Found one, not my preferred, but it will do. So always mark up my fabric. God, I have been cutting fabric like this for 10 years now. Except now I have an appropriately sized table. So this is a cutting table, like a professional cutting table. So it's higher than a normal table. And for years and years, I used to cut fabric like this at my kitchen table, and it just absolutely killed my back. So this, I think this was about $1,200. It was 1,000 times worth it. I'm gonna get my big giant scissors. These are the bad boys. Little scrap. I don't normally have scraps. It's just that this piece was a little bit shorter. They might have had an issue with their printing. So she's given me two pieces instead of one large piece. So I have designed all of my, I'll come back here so you can see me, designed all of my, like right from the beginning, I designed everything, like my kits, sub boxes, everything, to have no waste with fabric, because this is the most expensive part. And also I was, especially back then when I was just bootstrapping everything, any wasted Aida at all was a disaster. So I do have a little strap, but I keep everything. Usually every now and again with Sew It All, my other business, I do a little clearance sale. And even sometimes I make up like scrap packs, because I think someone could get use out of something like that, especially that long. So no throwing away around here. The hard part is actually getting the time to load all of the clearance stuff online. But it comes in handy because it's like a little boost of sales, like a little cash boost. which always comes in handy. And it's just sitting there on the shelf anyway, so might as well turn those scraps into money that I can use to buy more fabric. There we have 5. If you're wondering here, while I'm not using a ruler for this, it's because I'm following the lines of the Ada, which makes it straight, because the grid lines are straight. $90 by $100. I can get 25 swatches out of this, 5 by 5. This is 50. So I think I'll just do them. I've done 50 cotton cards, so I'll just work in lots of 50 then, just to make things easier. So now it's time to cut the white Ada. And this is a slightly different size. These pieces are 100 by 180. But I have a formula and not one single square centimetre is wasted. I couldn't tell you how much, let me move this down. Yeah, I couldn't tell you how much white Ada I have ordered over the last 10 years. It would be interesting to know, because I'm sure it would cover many, 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 many football fields. So I can get 28 pieces out of one 100 by 180 piece. And this is one of the things, like the needles, you know, you can never cut too much, because I use these in my kits as well. So I always in need of these cut up and ready just to slot into the kits. So there's 3 left, so I might as well cut up all 3, take the little label off. All right, so this is 25 centimeters. I really should use a pencil that's like a, you know, like a fabric marker that will wash off with heat, rather than using a grey lead, because grey lead will not come off at all, especially Ada. But I've been doing this for so long, I very, very, very rarely make a mistake. In saying that, now that I've said it, I'm sure I'll probably make a mistake in about 2 seconds time. Okay, made it through unscathed. because I'm cutting through 2 pieces of fabric because it's folded over. That's when these big fabric scissors come in really handy. I think I bought these for maybe $60, 60 to $80 about 5 years ago, and they're still just as good as when I got them. But of course, they're never used for anything other than fabric. Very, very strict rule. Sometimes I find my family members sneaking around in here, like especially when it comes to wrapping presents, because they know that they can find tape and scissors. But I think I've beaten out the idea that you can just use any scissors. I do have see, these are some old fabric scissors that are too blunt now, so they've become paper. It's very obvious that they're paper. But mostly I can't find, yeah, here they are. The grey scissors are for everything else. To be honest, I think these were originally fabric scissors as well. But they go blunt and they get relocated to other duties. I've even got past fabric scissors as kitchen scissors now. Like, they're everywhere. Probably got about $200 worth of fabric scissors just floating around the house. So if you ever need anything cut up, just come over to our house. Don't know why I'm picking up that pencil. So I do the same thing here as with the last fabric, except because I've got my folded over piece and just with the length of it, this is a half piece. And we've got the full pieces. Because when I cut this and you fold it out, it's a full piece. See, every measurement is accounted for. Bye. You're going out. Go in the shops. Yeah. All right, have fun. Bye. That was Charlie and Mum off to the shops. My mum she works full time, but she has worked out her schedule so that she gets 3 Thursdays in a month off. She does slightly longer days, so she works every 4th Thursday, if that makes sense. So that means we get free babysitting for 3 Thursdays in a month, and then that last Thursday, we kind of scramble a little bit. We always forget that, like, it'll get to Tuesday and we're like, uh-oh, this coming Thursday is one of Mum's working Thursdays. So we have to scramble. Usually it's me that will stay home with him, sometimes Sean. Sometimes it's just, I'm getting really busy in this business, so it's harder and harder for me to take time off. So sometimes he just has to do another day of daycare. What I've really been working on this year is trying not to take on too much, because I've only got my 5 days a week to work. So the business just has to fit within that. So the way I've kind of made that work is I have my list of things that I need to get done every single day. So that is orders, customer emails, and also sending out my EDMs, which are email marketing. And then I guess on that list as well is I've got to make sure my Facebook ads are up to date. So if those 4 things are done, I'm pretty much free. Like, I can stop work for the day if I want, or I can move on to one of the bigger things that need to get done, which is prepping sub boxes, or like working on the website, or making new products. See, I'm not concentrating and I've just made a mistake. I told you I would make a mistake. It's not the end of the world though. Let me just get my bearings before I keep talking. Also, the good thing is if I do make a little mistake, like there's a little bit of grey lead mark, I keep the piece for myself and I use them for my mock-ups, because I'll just put I'll just stitch on the other side. Yes. So basically what I was saying is I've got my daily tasks. Once I've done my daily tasks, I can move on to the bigger things that need doing. But I am not allowed to start any new projects unless, one, my daily tasks are done, and two, my bigger projects are done as well. So that just has helped me keep a lid on all my ideas. So it means that I'm not creating a whole new product like God, I couldn't even think of anything. Just say a third subscription. Like I've got my digital subscription and my physical subscription. Just say I want to do a third one, like a membership where we all do, I don't know, like social meetups. Like people often ask if I'm doing classes or anything like that. And I think that is, if I was to run classes, that is a big project. And unfortunately, I'm too busy with all my other projects. So in the old days, I would just take on more and more big projects, and then I'm just constantly whirling around from project to project and not getting anything finished and feeling like I'm not being productive or getting anything done. So now it seems to have worked, this little strategy, because I can only do what I can do. And it does mean that a lot of the ideas I have will never see the light of day, but that is just the price we have to pay for having a life as well as a business. See, this is the little mistake I made. You see the little bit of grey lead? So that piece I will keep for myself. Go and put that in a drawer so I don't forget. Okay, we have 50, well, a bit over 50 white aders cut up. And we've got that, and we've got that. Okay, the lounge room. Got my big scissors with me. Ignore all the toys. So down here are my cotton supplies to make my kits. I've got my cotton cutting board. All right, let's pop this over here. These are all the 50 threads I've already made up with my little note to tell me how many I've done. And in here I've got up my pieces. So basically I can just bring these two boxes in with me and my scissors and my board and just sit in front of the TV and make cotton. So I'm still being productive, but I'm only using about 0.4% of my brain. So that's a win. Does anyone else just get, you've all just got piles of junk around your house as well? I don't even notice it anymore. All right, let's see how many I can do. Okay, I managed to get another 10 done. So that brings my total to 60, but I have to stop because I really need to get some emails sent out and some orders done, go to the post office, and then tomorrow we will go to the recycling centre and we will start packing these sub boxes. So I will see you then.